Hey, you guys, this is your girl, Ebony Nicole, the Vice President of the Rochester Black Authors Association, here with another author for the Black Authors Rock podcast. Now, as always, y'all already know what I'm going to say. I don't know when you're going to see this. I don't even know what time of day you're going to see this, but whatever it is, I'm going to need you to do one thing. Not one, a few things. I need you to like, comment, and share this podcast. Now, if you see it on YouTube, subscribe to us, all right? If you see a highlight on Instagram or Facebook, make sure you go over to YouTube to watch the full episode. And if you hear anything on one of the different podcasts, like a sample of it, make sure you go on over and listen to the full program. And for those of you who want to tell their story, make sure you wait until the end so I can tell you how you can also link up with me and chat about your book. Tell me about yourself and brag on everything you do as an author. And just a reminder for those who do not know, the 7th annual Rochester Black Authors Expo is happening this year. We are excited. Okay, we are two years behind due to the C word. I ain't gonna say it because I don't want to get flagged on YouTube for saying the C word, but y'all know the C word is. So in 2020 and 2021, we could not proceed due to precautions and things like that, and with the whole country being shut down. So we had to come back, and this is the 7th year, which should have been the 9th, but this is the 7th year, and we are so excited. You can head on over to our website, rockbaa.org, for more information and to register. Now I got all that out the way, because although I'm the vice president of the organization, I still got a board I got to report to. And they want to make sure I tell you guys all the proper information before we get started with this conversation with this beautiful author. So now that's out the way, we're going to talk. You guys, I am so excited to have Miss Diana on the podcast today. All right. We had a little hookup started because it was like, girl, she called me. And I'm like, is this supposed to be I thought this was supposed to be something. But we worked it out and now we are here. So Miss Diana, I want you to tell people who you are and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Ebony. It's such a pleasure to meet you formally on the Zoom. We finally got hooked up. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm originally from the Motor City of Detroit, from Detroit, Michigan, and I've been living here for about 10 years, almost 10 years in the Rochester area. And so I'm a science math teacher. I do STEM and STEAM. So that means that sometimes with the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, there is the artistic part of bringing that element into education. So I've taught across the country. I've taught in New Mexico as a science teacher, in Michigan, of course, and here in New York State, and other on short stints in other cities. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I was an avid reader when I was young. I loved to read. Yeah. And matter of fact, when I was in 4th grade, my dad asked me, my nickname is Donna. Everybody calls me Donna. That's a long story, but that's my family name. And what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I wanted to be a poet. I wanted to be a poet. Yeah, so I love words and I love the written communication, and I was able to live as a child vicariously through many authors and stories that I read as a child. So yeah,
that's what I love about reading, especially with fictional books. You get the author, especially when they're able to pull you in into the world that they created, and it's like
absolutely.
When you come out, it's like, I want everything that character had. I want those experiences. And it just makes the process of learning how to read even more once you understand and can comprehend what it is you're absorbing. Yeah, I absolutely agree with it. Reading has been one of those things where no matter what's going on around you, you can definitely get lost in a book.
Yeah, but not only just fiction, but nonfiction also.
Yeah.
So one of the things, I homeschooled my kids when they were younger. My oldest is in her 40s now. My youngest is 25. So, and have raised nieces and nephews. But one of the things that I did for my children was to bring books into the home, a library, because I was such an avid reader that I was reading the autobiography of Malcolm X at 11, James Baldwin, Richard Wright, along with Lewis Alcott, Little Women. So now as a young mom, when I was a young mom, I incorporated good books. And so it's no wonder that I went on to, or trying to become a more established writer.
And not try, you did.
Yeah.
Tell us about your book, Nasir's.
Yeah, this is my book, Nasir's Big Question. And this book came about during the unrest of the country, or we could say globally, racially, with Mr. Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, and also with the C word, that virus, right? Yeah. The pandemic. And what I was doing, I was volunteering at the Carter Recreation Center and doing some work with the children there. And this was in the beginning of 2000, year 2000. And we saw this was coming, but we didn't know that things were going to be closed down as they were. And you know, it just seemed overnight, everything was shut down, recreation centers, schools, everything, in hospitals. And so I wasn't even able to tell children goodbye, you know, because of this pandemic. And so my question in teaching children for over 30 years was, what must the children think? How are they feeling? Because they're the most vulnerable, one of the most vulnerable populations. When we look at the geriatric, they're also very vulnerable and very fragile. And usually those populations are the most negated. We usually don't ask children how they feel. I was raised in the 50s, the 60s, and it was the mantra in our home was children should be seen and not heard.
Not heard. Yep. Yeah.
That was the thing that children, and so no one was asking children.
Uh-oh. I think we froze.
Bombardment.
It stopped.
Bombardment of technology. I could not help but think how these children were just bombarded with these images of Ahmaud Arbery or Mr. Floyd. And we can go on down the list. Along with the pandemic. And so it was put on my heart. I believe God put it on my heart. What do we say to the children? What can they say? So in Nasir's Big Question, one of the questions that he has is about himself, you know, his own identity.
Oh yeah, because that, you know, I just want to real quick. I like how you want kids to ask questions because sometimes they don't have that space, that outlet to ask questions, nor to express how they feel. Usually when kids express how they feel, we're told, well, I don't have any children, I have nephew and nieces, but I embrace them telling me how they feel. I need to know so I can address their feelings. You know, instead of when I was younger, it was just blown off. It wasn't as important to know how I felt as a kid. Because I don't know if adults just didn't think that we had feelings or something, unless we were crying. You know, unless they saw us get hurt or something. But no, it's kids need that outlet. So my nephew and nieces know they can always come and talk to me about how they feel. And especially nowadays, with kids unsure of who they are and question their identity in a lot of a lot of different ways they question their identity and just want to make sure they are comfortable and confident in who they are and as they go down that process of learning. So yeah, definitely ask questions. It's better to ask questions of adults versus friends who are the same age and
peer. And there is a time to have peer discussion, but if you look at CDC and where children are mentally, even with this book, my hopes is that this book, among so many wonderful authors out there, but this book I would hope would lay a groundwork, would lay a foundation and a in which
it keeps freezing. I'm sorry. I think it's my internet freezing or yours, because you froze a couple of times. But go ahead.
Yeah, so that it would lay a platform, no matter what the question is, whether it's pandemic, whether it's Black Lives Matter issues, or whether it's school shootings. A lot of times children they don't feel comfortable in asking questions and having discussions.
So what was you mentioned he asked a question, last year's big question. What is one question that a kid has come to ask you since you've been, teaching 30 years? What's one question that you sometimes often get regardless of where you are?
It usually has to do, one of the things I did in my undergrad work was create a curriculum, and it had to do with identity. And that was over 20 years ago. And so identity, children, people, we are not our skin color. As you know, skin color is the phenotypical, that the color is race, shall I say, is a sociological thing. It's put in place to do what it does, to discriminate, to separate. So we begin to, as a people of color, for example, a child of color or a child that has less melanin, identity of who they are, they feel a question that children repeatedly ask through my experience has been, who am I? What is my purpose here? With children, they see themselves reflected from society. So, how society portrays their image, a child that is reflected upon them. It could be negative, it could be positive, it could be wrong, or it could be right. But to know that the caregivers, society, the world, that image that child or that adult has for themselves, that's what's internalized. And so we need, you need gatekeepers, you need people, truth sayers, you need people that are healthy, that are going to give you the right messages of who you are. You are not your experience. You are not your skin color. Your skin color may have contributed to some of the experiences you have, but you are not that. That is a part of your beautiful self, but it is not you. You understand?
Absolutely.
So it becomes those deeper conversations of our soul and our spirit and who we are and our compass and our purpose. Children have purpose too.
So my question would be, what are 3 questions, or not questions, but how would a parent approach their child to get them to open up and talk about themselves? So the parent know where their child, so that they can have open communication with their children.
I think vulnerability and transparency from the parent. If you want your children to talk to you about difficult things, you need to talk about difficult things in your own life. That's age and audience, sensitive and appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
like if it's about your body, or if it's about your hair, or if it's about something that you don't feel good about, that's better. I think children, after they see that kind of example of being open, being honest, and being vulnerable, I think it, like with my 3 kids, I have 3 and nieces and nephews, that it lays a foundation, it lays I think a framework to work with when you're open, when you're vulnerable. But when you're not being open and vulnerable and transparent with your children, I don't think you're going to get that back. That's been my experience.
So it's when the parent is being transparent, to make sure they're doing so at a level that's at the child's understanding, appropriate for them. So you don't want to go into too much, but you know, pick and choose different things and that will get the kid to trust their parent. You would believe, you'd say
that's where trust comes in. It that's a doorway in which trust can, you know, enter in, and it's a relationship, and those we should guard those relationships, and whether adults or children, I think everyone needs can use a course on how to have healthy, functional relationships, whether it's how to be a friend, how to be those are important. Children, you know, we look at children as, you know, as something like a project sometimes. This is something I got to get through. This is something, but you know, while you're, it's a gift. And one of the things that I put in the front of the book is a verse, and it says, "Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward."
Yes.
So children are not a bother. They can bother us, but they are not a bother. They're not a problem. They have problems. And they, you know, they can
I like that. Problems. I like that.
But that is, you know, to put that on children, they are a heritage. They are a reward. They are a fruit of us.
Yes.
And so in that way, building relationship, building trust. If you want to, you know, one of the things that I teach in a work development is about core values and principles, and knowing what are our core values. And I use Harriet Tubman as my example of her core values. And in her core values, what were the principles that she had, and what were the things that were brought into fruition because of her core values? So with children, they need to see that, you know, they need to see, and they need to be taught what our core values are. And that happens through transparency, through example, through good books that provoke good conversation, good movies that provoke conversation, different events that can bring these things about. You know, it's not just a parent talking to a kid, but a parenting, like I said, in owning my part as a parent in education. One of the things I did was homeschooled my kids. I got to know them intimately. Who are these people? Who are these little people?
Because they're little, they're people. There's little people. They have emotions, they have feelings, they have, for a brief moment. They have feelings, they have emotions, they have understanding, they have lack of understanding, they have opinions. They are people, and it's just allowing them that space to be who they are. And creating that safe space so that they don't have to feel like, oh, I can't talk to my mom about this, I can't talk to my dad about this, and go, you know, find misinformation that's easily given from
and I
people.
like what you say, a safe place, because what Nazir found is that his big mom Nona, I had a big mom. I had a grandma and I had a big mom. So big mom Nona who is, his mom is a single parent, and
Yes.
she's a nurse, and she works sometimes midnight. And during the COVID, we lost so many healthcare workers.
Yes, we
Do
did.
you know there are so many children that lost aunties and uncles and mothers and
Yep.
fathers because of the pandemic?
Yep.
And those children are still with us. And do they have safe places to talk about their grief or their pain or their being afraid? One of the pictures that I put in here about COVID is that how to depict how scary, you know, it looks.
Yeah.
This is one of the, but it looks, I kind of animated it, but it's scary to children.
Yeah.
It's scary, whether it's a 3-year-old. Like I said, there were many children around the world that lost parents and loved ones to COVID.
And they don't know how to process it either, because even as adults, we don't know how to process death either. So in 2021, we lost the founder of our organization to the C word.
Yes,
so
sorry.
His family, like, it devastated us. His family had to get together, and one person didn't show any symptoms. I think they call it asymptomatic.
Yes.
The relative went to the house. They lost, along with my friend, I believe it was 2 or 3 other family members that were gathered there. They lost 3 or 4 family members back to back.
I'm so sorry.
Back to back. It was just devastating. Nobody knew how to process that.
Say that narrative has been duplicated around the world.
Yeah.
I know it's hit my family. I've known some families that 4 and 5 people, you know, that so to a child, that is scary. But the other element is the Black Lives Matter. But what I did too was to bring some history into the books.
Oh, wow.
Because one of the things that we see in our country is that people would like to muzzle our history and our heritage.
They do that now.
Books. I'm livid because certain books are being banned. And so I talk about the Children's March in Alabama and how I believe God used these children, you know, and their message in having a discussion in the racist and segregated Alabama that my mom was from. My mom is from Birmingham, Alabama. And during that time, and that was during the time that those 4 little girls, and I talk about that, the church bombing. And so I talk about that in a way that I intertwine that into the story of Nasir, having a discussion with Big Ma, his Big Ma Nona. But one of the questions that, if I can read part.
Absolutely, because I was going to ask you to read some. So yes, please do.
So it says that after schoolwork, Nasir headed to find Big Ma. The aroma of a warm lemon pound cake and the gentle rattle of pots and pans led Nasir on a trail to the kitchen. Big Ma was busy getting dinner ready. Sitting down a little harder than he intended, Nasir startled Big Ma. She looked up over her glasses and asked, "How are you doing today, Nasir?" Taking a deep breath, Nasir began talking. He talked about how he was afraid of the virus, afraid of the family becoming sick or dying, and the killings of unarmed Black men, and how he missed his friends. Nasir told Big Ma all the things that were troubling him and making him sad. Big Ma nodded her head as she quietly listened. So that's just part of the, he was thinking and thinking. He was up at night, and a lot of children that have anxiety, they don't sleep. It affects their eating. And again, paying attention to this, especially when children are spending a large amount of the day at the recreation center. I was really amazed at how many children were gone from maybe 7 o'clock in the morning to well after 6 o'clock in the evening, because of after school, there's after school programs. And so that means that their parents sometimes don't see them for 12 hours. You know, and again, as caregivers and parents, paying attention to your children, even when we're not just going through the pandemic, but these school shootings, how is this affecting children? Are children feeling that this can happen? Can this happen in our school?
Yeah, the paranoia. And it's sad, like when you were mentioning how, so I'll go back a little bit. When Iceer's grandma just had that conversation and said he told her everything, what he's, concerned about. And she just sat down and listened. And that's all sometimes we need, is somebody just to listen.
Yes.
And I think that what his fear is real. Although he's a fictional character, his fear is real. But the thing is, especially with these recent school things that happen at schools, is every year we have them. And it's so sad. It's traumatizing to watch the released videos. As an adult, it bothers me. But I can, for a little bit on the right side, process what I'm looking at. And I just saw, like, for the recent one, I saw it and watched one video of the body armor or the body camera that the officer had on. I watched that. And that was enough for me. That was enough for me. I know there's another video of the actual suspect going around doing things in the building. I have not watched that because I know I can't process that. I don't want to see you doing that. Not you, but I don't want to see you, as a general statement, I don't want to see you doing that. So what kids get to see, which something we didn't see growing up. I'm 40. I just turned 40 in November. We didn't see stuff like this. Just like when I think Columbine happened over 20 years ago. We just saw, I remember seeing footage of the kids leaving the school with their hands behind their head. Whereas now it's so different, where you get to see inside of the school. You see what the suspect did. You see what the point of view from the officers. That's a lot of trauma to process for children. I don't even see how they even get through it. Even the George Floyd one, like, I saw that video. I'm like, I knew what happened at the end of those 8.5 minutes, but I was still like, get off him, still yelling, get off him, as I watched. And it's I don't know. I don't understand why. Well, personally, I don't understand how they are releasing these footages. Some stuff we don't need to see. We don't need to see.
At the same time, if you think of Ahmaud Arbery, if you think of Mr. Floyd, if it was not for body cams, and I'm not the one that really got me, all of them are just horrible, but the one in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where you had the police actually get on for a traffic, it wasn't even traffic violation. I think of the tags. He couldn't even see the tags because it came from the back. But this police actually mounting on the back of the man and shooting him in the. So all of these.
I didn't see that. I remember I did not see. I just. That.
But these are things that, again, because of technology. But again, if we didn't have them, justice would not be. So
you're absolutely right. Justice would not be served when I say some stuff we don't need to see. I mean, we don't need to see somebody being killed real time. Save it for the jury, the jury. Save it for trial and things like that. But some stuff it does not need to be released to public because you don't know the little kids that are watching it.
And so as adults, the burden of it is on us as caregivers.
You are right. You're right. You're right.
We have to say when enough is enough. And when our children are interfaced with these types of media exchanges or vomiting, because some of it's just spilling out everything. that we have to be there to have those conversations,
yeah,
to make sure that our children are emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and mentally, that they're okay,
yeah,
because we can mask people can mask pretty well, how they're feeling.
yep,
Adults do it better than than most, but
all the
children, that's
time,
why I
yeah,
love children, because they're so transparent. They really
yeah,
let you know how they're feeling about things. There has been, being in education, even this year, there's been a number of Rochester schools that's had guns. Children are
yeah,
taking guns, and I'm not talking about high school. This is
yeah,
middle school, grade school kids
yeah.
taking guns into schools. So again, how do other children feel about that? And are people just pushing that under the rug? Are these administrators, are they having conversations with their students about the fear? And yeah,
I would
so
hope so. I would hope that again we get these happen in our country, and it's every time I hear one, it doesn't, it's not like oh, it happened. No, it's not like, no, it's a lot. It's still painful,
yes,
to watch these little kids, even teenage, middle school, high schoolers, having to run from a school building because there's someone in there that had lost their mind.
Sure.
I would hope that administrators and teachers have the conversation and get counselors in there, because kids are terrified,
Yeah.
or if they send
Yeah.
home things, hey, we know this is what happened at this school in this city, in this at this school in this city in this state. Here are some things you could do to talk to your children about it. And how do you, even as a parent, begin that conversation? Like, oh, well, tell me, how do you feel? And how to properly address their feelings, and instead of coddling them, more like understand where they're coming from and their fear of mommy, daddy, grandma, whoever their guardian is. I don't want to go back to school because I'm scared I'm gonna get killed. That is a real fear.
Yeah.
Although I'm not a mama yet, I have nephew and nieces that are in school, and it's, you want them to come home, but you don't know the mindset of an adult or another child.
Right. So bringing it back to Niceer's big question, again, this is just a platform to talk about various issues. It could be, again, the shootings, it could be the pandemic, it could be the death of a friend, it could be anything. I taught in New Mexico. One of the things that was really a hotbed there was the drugs, whether it was meth. At that time, it was in the 80s, that was the meth, heroin re-entering back into the scene of the high schools, a lot of overdose. That's an issue. I've taught children that have been in rehab for drug addiction. So a lot of these issues that you think that children are not interfaced with, or that they're not thinking of, just have a conversation. You'll be surprised. One of the things that I put in my book was a GOAT page, and it was self-care, building blocks to a healthy me. So it's actually something that kids can do to be more healthy, like be aware of your time. How much time are they spending on social media? Are they eating healthy? Are they intaking enough water? Their fruits and vegetables, are they staying connected? Are they getting rest and sleep? Are they being active? And so these are really fundamental and very important for all of our lives. But
absolutely,
children included, getting enough water, even so important.
It is, because I think when you learn stuff, the Bible says, train up a child the way he should go. When he gets older, he won't depart from it. So we teach our children younger on how to be healthy in mind, body, spirit, and soul. Then when they get out, when they become adults, they already know how to be healthy. Making a wise decision is a part of health. Because if you
Yes,
don't make a wise
absolutely.
decision, then it can affect you in an
Yes.
unhealthy way. So I get this question: Are your books in the city school district?
They're at an Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and CBD, which is a Christian distributor, book
Okay.
distributor. They're not in the schools. I don't know how to get that pipeline there. But
really,
yeah.
You work at a school here in the city?
Yeah, I was at a charter school actually,
And
but I'm not at that place now. Although I've submitted the books there.
yeah,
So,
I was gonna say it's like the principals and things like that, and to see if they would be willing to have a few of your books in a library. I'm surprised that hasn't happened. I'm very surprised with your connections.
Yeah.
Huh.
So maybe that's something I can be a little more active on.
Absolutely, because they need it.
Yeah, I think so. And if I want to say, if anyone out there is, I am an educator, and if you're interested in me coming to your school or library or small group of kids, I've taught in children ministry also for years, for many years. Child evangelism as a master of Christian education for children. I actually have a certificate with that. But if it doesn't even have to be religious. Although Nasir and his family have a religious persuasion. And I talk about the Bible in the book. Like I said, that first page, it comes from the scriptures. And but it could be for any groups. I've taught children that have Muslim influence. I've actually taught this book to them, and they've ordered it. So,
wow, that's awesome.
Because the message of the book is
the message transcends religion. It's for everyone. Earlier, you mentioned that you have written a curriculum. Did you develop that to put on sale and get it out there?
No, I actually I developed a curriculum for photonics and optics and earth science. And I did not get those published. I did not. And I might do some writing on those, because that's my thesis work was on soil degradation, actually. So I love geology, love biology. I'm science. I love it. I can talk to you about science all day.
You can take what you've already written and make that into another children's book.
Yeah, that's what I would like to do. That's what I'm working on now. How to bring that type of the environment, the earth, the science part into Yep.
I froze. I think my thing froze again. I apologize. So
that's okay.
You said you want to do
bring more of
the earth and things like
science,
that into
as people of color, that we can't have enough of that. And I would urge you and your audience to just go to libraries just to see. I did years, maybe about 7 years ago, 5 years ago, I did research before this book came about. I was looking for trauma. I was looking for books that dealt with trauma for children. There was none. The most I could find was, I think, a book called Knock Knock, and it was dealing with abandonment of a parent, but nothing dealing with, there's not a plethora of books dealing with issues that children are interfaced with. It's just not. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of history stuff. It's a lot of, cuddly books, but not books that really talk about some of the issues. And that's why I wanted a book that people could say, oh, that's a book that.
Yeah, because I think even as adults, some adults may not know how to, like we talked about earlier, how to communicate in a healthy manner with children.
Yes.
There needs to be, I don't know if you want to do it, but there needs to be a series of books that
Yes.
teaches adults how
Yes.
to effectively communicate,
Yes.
how to
Yes.
talk to them at their level, because their understanding is not like ours. Some kids might get it immediately. Some need repetitive teachings, but we got to have that patience, enough patience to take them through that process and to discuss. Like, you have kids, well, I'll say this, for like, I'm part of I have a youth boys mentorship program here in Rochester.
Oh, wonderful. It's wonderful.
Called the Black Men Achieve Youth Mentorship Program. And we work with boys from 10 to 19 years old to become young men. And so a lot of our boys come from single parent homes. A lot of them have fathers who are deceased, or locked away, where they got decades.
Yes.
Not like decades.
Yes.
And there are a few that I've spoken to who do not know their father.
Yes.
So these are things that they have to deal with. But how do you have those conversations with them? How do you, ask them, hey, your dad is going to be away for 16 years. You're 8. So he's going to miss all of your growing up into manhood. But all you have is mom to try to teach you how to be a man, which I personally believe a woman cannot teach a young boy how to be a man. But how do you have those conversations? How do you have the conversations with your sons? Because they have no other way of expressing themselves but with anger. And so our goal with our organization is to show them different outlets and help them get other ways to express how they feel. And I'm all for safe environments.
Yes.
Because if you're safe, and that comes with building, they respect us, they trust us, and they're secure with us. When we get that secure, when they get to a point of knowing I'm secure with their mentors and stuff like that, then they're able to open up and have those deeper conversations. So I think, I don't know if you want to do it, but I think you should take Nasir on a road trip on how to handle things, even if it's not him directly. So even if Nasir has a friend named Audrey, and Audrey lost her mom, and Nasir, her and Nasir have the conversation about how she feels about losing her mom and things like that. And so, go on that journey, Nasir, and
Nasir goes on a journey. I like that.
Nasir goes on, right now, girl. Nasir goes on a journey, and he does. And what I would encourage you to do is, whatever topic Nasir and his friend will be discussing, find 1 or 2 experts in that field, locally or not, who could maybe do a foreword or talk. You can sit down and talk with. So that what you learn from them, from that expert, you can weave into his story.
Well, my undergrad was Family Life Education. So that was my undergrad.
And we're going to wrap up the interview right there. You are the expert. Come on. You are the expert. So I can't wait for you to take Nasir on a journey, because
thank you, Ebony.
You're very welcome. Like he needs to go on a journey. He needs to help his friends. And
Thank you, Ebony.
You're welcome. I'm excited.
That's great.
So we are almost at the end, Miss Diane. I want you to tell people, I know you mentioned that your book is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and
CBD. That's a Christian book distributor. You can get it there. Please, if you order the book, if you would just give me a review of the book, you can go there and see what people have said about the book. And I don't think, Nasir, I don't think the book has reached the depth of audience or how it can be used. Like I say, not to toot my own horn, but I don't see a lot of books for children, especially Nasir is about 12, I'm sorry, not 9. So from 9 to 12, that's pre-adolescent, right? This is applicable for actually young teens, older teens, even adults, in finding purpose. Now, you'll find a lot of books for young adults or that are people want to know their purpose. what is my why? And that's one of the things I teach in a workplace development workshop, is knowing your why.
Absolutely.
How do you get to your why?
Yeah.
And so this is just a precursor to that type of discussion. How do you know your why? So anybody interested in me coming to teach, about NYSER or knowing your why, because it's all about that purpose and knowing yourself, and it's just all good stuff.
Knowing your why, I like that, because we like to bring in guest speakers to talk with our boys. It's particularly men, because we want them to because we know our boys have their mom, their teacher, their grandma, sisters and aunties in their ear all day, that they're more apt to communicating or connecting with the men more than women. However, I will see what I can do.
All right, Ms.
I will
Ebony.
work my magic. Okay. And I also want to see if I can get a few copies of the book to hand out to our boys, especially that 10 to 12-year-old group that we have. So yeah, I think that would be great. Do you have a website?
I do not. I lost my mom a couple of years ago, and it just kind of was a hiccup for me. And then I lost my sister.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I've lost quite a bit. That's another thing, grief, I want to talk about with children.
NYSER's journey through grief. I'm telling you.
Yes.
So kids get, NYSER is going to help. You can use your life story.
Yes.
You can be one of his little friends, Lil D.
Yes.
And take him through that journey of what that's like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there was a little, little step back from some things, but yeah, I think this spring, summer, I would like to do a little bit more. One of the things I would love to go back to my hometown of Detroit and do something with NYSER, because that's where I grew up, and see, it's so much larger than Rochester. And so it's so much compounded with so much stuff it for children, in the negative way and positive, but in a negative way for sure.
I'm gonna recommend to you, because I'm all about authors expanding and going beyond what they do. Do a book fair, a children's book fair in Detroit.
Okay.
Connect with people there. I don't have a children's book, but I know off the top of my head, real quick, 5 children's book authors. Some are children and some are adults. So if you put that together and you let me know, I will be sure to forward all the information to them. And
are they in Detroit?
If you're doing it in Detroit, I think that'd be awesome. Even here in Rochester.
Yes.
Why not?
Absolutely. Yes.
Why not? And then you can do a children's book book fair, and why not?
Any major city, any major country, or country park, because children are everywhere, and this message this is not going away. How to talk to our children about difficult things. I looked at CDC. I seldom check with them. I don't know where they get their polls or where their children, but as I talk to children and interface with them, just to see how they feel about things. It takes a minute. It takes time. It's like an onion with children. It takes a time for them to peel off the layer. So and that's why I like to go to recreational centers, spend time, especially if I'm not in the classroom. It takes a minute to keep abreast of where children are and how they're feeling about things.
I'm just making my note here, because I'm gonna circle back around in a couple of weeks and see if you got a website, if you're working on that.
Okay.
As well as
I do have all those things set up. I do have it set up. I just haven't implemented it. Yeah.
Okay. Because I always encourage authors, have that website, draw people, push people to your website. Even if you don't want to mail out books. I mail out my books. I don't mind. But if you don't want to mail out books, you can still send them to your website, and then for them to purchase books, the link take them to Amazon. So that's fine. And let Amazon handle the
I
fulfillment
do have
part.
Instagram, Diane Eagles at Diane Eagles. And it's just my name, and it's nice here's big question. So yeah, I do have that Instagram.
Okay, good. So we know we can find you on Amazon as well as Instagram, and that website is coming soon.
It's coming. Yes, it's coming. Yeah, I actually have the Facebook book thing all set up. All right,
so we look forward to you doing it then.
Thank you, Miss Ebony.
You're very welcome. So everyone, y'all know I love chatting with my authors. I never ever get tired of it, because as an author myself, I know we have stories to tell. I know it's more to us beyond our written words, and where our passions and things like that come from. So one thing I want to ask you before we wrap it up is, what are some of your successes being an author? What would you say one of your biggest successes is being an author?
A big success for me is to see the personal growth. I am a growth mindset person, and to come from a place where I was, out of 5 kids, the only one to graduate from high school, the only one to graduate undergrad with honors, and then graduate with academic recognition.
Wow.
And then putting something in published that I didn't think I could do. So for me, the personal growth, that was monumental for me.
There you go. And this growth that you could actually measure and see.
Yes, that was smart. Yeah, putting those smart goals into no matter what it is that you think or you would like to do, approaching it smartly and using that acronym and really being specific, measurable, and all of those good things. It's doable. If one person can do it, yours is going to look different than someone else's. But that's the beauty of it. And one of my pages actually have a fingerprint. And to say that nobody loops and whirls are the same.
No, not at all.
Loops and whirls are different. See?
And that's awesome.
We are uniquely special and uniquely have a specific purpose in this life.
Yes.
And it's short. That little dash between when you were born and leaving here, it's short.
Yes. That dash, everything matters in that dash. Everything matters in that dash.
Yes, it does.
It's not as long as we would like it to be.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. There we have it. I am excited. I'm hoping that when you come across this podcast, that you enjoy it. Remember to like, comment, and share this podcast. If you see it on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our page so you can see it. Not only this, but see all the other authors that came before, and that will come after Miss Diane. Now, you can find us to register to have your own chat with me. You can go on to our website, which is rockbay.org, which is ROCBAA.org. Registration is free. But because we are a 501c3, we do ask for a small donation. If you don't give it, it's all right. We're not going to bug you about it. No, you don't have to, but we do ask, okay? You know, you can't get anything if you don't ask for it. So we ask, okay? Go on there and register for free. Also, on the website is the information about the 7th annual Rochester Black Authors Expo happening on June 3rd. We are excited, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all excited. We are. Okay. Also, we have a few more things that are coming down the pipeline. We want you to also know about the inaugural Black Authors Day. Woo-hoo! I'm so excited. Okay, my friend Katira Poland is the founder of that. It's going to happen on May 4th of this year. Here in Rochester is the inaugural day celebration. You can go on over to Love 4 Words, which is the number 4, love4words.com for more information and to see how you can celebrate the inaugural day of the National Black Authors Day. All right. So if you're an author, you need to celebrate May 4th. Okay. That's all I got for you guys. Oh, you know what? Instagram. You can find us on Instagram at ROC_BAA. So come check us out, see what we're doing. All right. Until next time, you guys. I'm Ebony Nicole, the Vice President of the Rochester Black Authors Association. I love my authors and they rock. And I'll see you soon.